What's up guys, it's Taylor from Diamond Auto Spa. I just wanted to bring you my personal review on the M18 Milwaukee 21mm dual action polisher. This is my first cordless polisher. I've always had corded polishers. I did have a Rupes 15mm hybrid for about 3 days. Threw it on a few panels, I hated it, I sold it, and it's been about a year since. As of recently, I've had multiple Rupes polishers die on me. I got a couple in the cabinet, I got a couple on the wall that are all dead, and I figured it was time to bring in some different brands. That brought me to ordering Milwaukee 21mm dual action polisher that you see behind me. A little bit of a background on me, I've been doing this for 15 years. First video on YouTube. I figured I could bring some good insight, maybe for some of you guys, maybe some new techniques, dialing in new techniques, maybe some insight on some tools and products and things like that. So like I said, this is my first cordless polisher. I had a really bad experience with that first Rupes that I ordered, the hybrid Bigfoot, the 15mm. So I took about a year away. I really thought that cordless machines had a long way to go before I could implement them in my shop. I felt like they had no power. They were kind of gutless, at least with the experience I had with that machine. So it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I went right back to my corded machines because they've always been reliable for me. The main reason I wanted a cordless machine in the shop was for convenience. The biggest drawback to having cordless machines in the shop, at least in my view from the bad experience I had, was the power, the lack of power. So fast forward about a year since the bad experience I had with the Rupes machines, I was doing some training last week. I had a 2-day training course I was doing out in Toronto. A couple of the guys there that have their own shops, they brought in their Milwaukee machines. They brought in a 15mm and a 21mm. So I had to go at them, and you know what? I was pleasantly surprised. It felt extremely similar to the 21mm corded Bigfoot. When I'm comparing 21mm to 21mm, I felt like that gap that was really missing in the hybrid Bigfoot system has been covered from the Milwaukee to the corded machine. 2 days later, as soon as I got home, I had a 21mm Milwaukee on order. And then I had a perfect vehicle lined up, ready to go to test it out. It wasn't a major correction, it was a single stage polish on a 2018 Chevy Equinox, but it gave me the opportunity to really test this polisher out, find my likes, find my dislikes, see what I'm gonna have to get used to, and really be able to test out the power on a big surface. So I just finished it. I want to bring you guys my likes and dislikes. Put it all together. So ergonomics, we'll talk about ergonomics, we'll talk about weight, we'll talk about vibration, we'll talk about how the machine likes to be used as opposed to the Rupes corded Bigfoot, things that I've found. And then I'll give you guys my summary. So ergonomics, you'll notice, let me grab it so I can show you. Ergonomics, it feels very different than a corded machine. The way I usually like to hold my polisher, I like to run my backhand off the grip a little bit. Kind of have my pinky onto the cord. That gives me a bit of a wide grip. I feel like I have really good control. That's not a possibility with these battery machines. The battery kind of makes it have a stubby feel, so you feel very tight when you're holding the machine. Very awkward, very weird to get used to, but obviously something you're going to have to get used to if you're going to want to use the cordless machines. Something I see a lot of guys do when they're running these, they do the same front grip on the front, but they put their hand under the butt of the battery. I did that for about 70% of the vehicle. It was good. For about the last 30%, I ended up switching back to my usual grip, even though it was tight. I just wanted to see if I could get used to it. And to be honest with you, as I'm holding it right now, it doesn't feel as awkward as it did when I got the machine. So give me 3-4 more cars, maybe I'll have a whole different opinion on how I like to hold a polisher. But at this point, that was a huge hurdle for me to get over in terms of ergonomics. Outside of that, the machine feels very durable. It's much heavier than you're used to. If you're coming from, at least like me, a corded Rupes, much heavier, but it feels a lot more rugged. If you have any Milwaukee power tools, they feel very well built, strong, they're grippy. It feels just like that. Honestly, it feels like a much better product than a Rupes. It feels much more durable and more well built, for lack of a better way of saying it. So I really like the feel. The weight is something that you're gonna have to get used to. When I'm working vertical panels, I really felt it in my grip and the trigger hand. I really felt it by the end of the vehicle. That's just something, again, we're gonna have to get used to. I think the pros outweigh the cons. So that's just one of the cons you're gonna have to get used to. I think the convenience of a cordless machine blows the cons out of the water. Going into balance, honestly, a lot of guys talk about balance. A lot of these machines that are sold these days, at least the ones I've used, they're balanced proportionally for what the machine is. I guess I do use some of the higher end machines, but I've never really noticed a machine throwing me off balance and too far to the back. It's balanced, it works perfectly fine. It works the way it should, with this battery attached to it. I think the balance is great. In terms of vibration, definitely more vibration than I'm used to with a Rupes. Is it a bad thing? No, it doesn't feel like there's a bucket of bolts rattling inside of it. It just feels a little bit more vibration than I'm used to. It doesn't make it feel junky. It feels actually very strong. Vibration, I'd probably put it at a 6, 7 out of 10. One of the big things that I noticed when I was using it was how this machine likes to be used. Again, I'm so used to the Rupes system that I really know how those like to be used. When I'm going into curved areas where the pad wants to stall, I'm really efficient at getting that tilt up so that I can keep the pad rotation going in those curved areas where it would typically like to stall. So that's the same method I went at when I was using this, and it does not like to be used that way. I noticed as soon as I went up to go tilt it to do my usual keep the pad spinning, it would instantly stall. And that was really throwing me off. And in my head, it kind of puts a bad taste. It makes me think, hey, maybe this thing doesn't have the power I thought it did. It just didn't like to be used that way. The more I would get into those scenarios and I would really keep that pad flat. It's very hard to explain, demonstrating it with my hands, but the more I could keep that pad flat, the more it would blow through those contours. So it just like to be used a little bit differently. Getting used to that is gonna take some getting used to. I find all machines are different. You just gotta get used to each one individually. In summary, with you, I'm probably done with corded machines, or at least these corded Rupes dual actions or corded machines period. I do have flex machines on the way. I'm gonna give those a shot, but this will be my new go-to for a dual action in the shop. I haven't used it for cutting yet. Maybe we can do a video showing the cutting power with this thing. I do not doubt that it's gonna be a beast. I just have not done it yet. I do most of my cutting with a rotary, but I think it's probably a good video we can make just to demonstrate how good this thing is at cutting with a wool pad. Summary, I really like it, man. Thought I would give this thing probably a 4 out of 10. If I'm honest with you, right now it's about an 8 out of 10, and I'm sure and all that is just me getting used to it. I'm sure by the time I get used to it, it's gonna get up to a 9, maybe even a 10 out of 10 with time. I hope you guys liked the video. Give me some feedback and let me know as well. And let me know if you want any other videos, any demonstrations, or any more information on this machine.